is Andy Morgan from Total Therapy Birmingham here once more to answer a couple of questions that I've been given over the last few days. I've heard these ones before, but because they keep coming up and they've come up very recently, I thought it was a good time to give an answer, especially as it ties into a lot of the things we've been talking about finding yourself and being true to yourself. So the questions that came through were, how do you know what to do and who you are? How do you find your real self? The other question was, how do you motivate yourself to be better? Now these seem different, but they do go hand in hand. Now the answer to the first one comes back to, or I'll take the story right back from my perspective, to an old motivational video I saw in my consultancy days, early in my consultancy days, called Trombone Player Wanted. Now the story in the film was about a young boy who, in a school band, who plays trombone. And when he's in the band and when he's there, he plays the trombone. But when he's not in the band, he's banging with sticks on railings, he's drumming with his fingers, he's drumming on the table. When he's working, when he's thinking, when he's eating, when he's lying in bed, he's looking at rhythms, he watches drummers on telly. And the message behind it was quite simply, yes, you may be a trombone player, but that's only his role. What he's actually interested in is drumming. And there were various questions at the end of it that said and these are good ones to ask yourself, and they'll come up time and time again. They even came up very recently for me with my coach. What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? What do you do to relax? What do you do for hours on end, and when you eventually stop, you could keep on doing it? What do you do, even if you're not very good at it? Do you enjoy doing? What do you think about while you're working? What fills your head? What do you watch TV programs about? What do you read about? What do you research? That is probably, if not the thing you should be doing, and a great step towards what you want to do. And whittling all those down into one question, if that's what you think about and that's what you do all the time, what's stopping you from doing it? And we'll go into that in a second, but the question that was asked is, how do you know who you are? How do you know what to do? It's what you already do. It's what you're already passionate about, what you are already interested in. So after watching this video, I went around to pretty much everyone I met, and it was now I realise it was the start of my coaching side, asking people that question: what is it you do? What is it you vibe with? What is it you love? And I had some fantastic answers. A couple of senior managers in the company, I had a guitarist, we had a cello player, we had various sports people, but there was one guy who always stuck in my head. And he said, I don't know. I don't think I have one. Now, generally speaking, we all have one. We just maybe shorten it, or we subdue it, or it is subdued by others. And he said, I don't do anything. I just work and I go home. And he was working on the house. He was a carpenter, and his mate went over and went, he does a lot of crosswords. And so I asked him, I said, do you? He said, yeah, doing crosswords all the time. So when he's having his coffee break, he'll do a crossword. When he sits at home, he just does crosswords for hours on end. And he said, but that's not really a thing, is it? And at the time I answered positively, said, yes, if it's what you enjoy, it doesn't really matter if you're good at it. And his friend said, oh, you can do a cryptic crossword in 5 minutes flat, It shows a high level of intelligence. So I was very positive about it and went away. But it was only afterwards that I realised one of the stories about the Enigma machine, and the people who were found for the team for the Enigma machine, who ended up breaking, the code breakers who helped win the World War, were found through doing crosswords. And the crosswords were sent out in local papers, and people answered them and responded, and the ones who got presumably high scores were chosen and selected for the Enigma team. So he may not think that, or people who do crosswords may not think there's much kudos in it. And the people who filled out those, responded to those competitions all those years ago wouldn't have thought there was anything behind it, because they just did what they enjoyed. But they turned out to be a significant force and a significant contribution to helping to win the Second World War. And they didn't do it for the kudos. They didn't. In fact, they even doing the job, they were all sworn to secrecy and everything else. But that doesn't stop what they did. That doesn't change what they did and the monumental effect they had just by being word search geeks. So, for starters, whatever it is that you do, don't put it down. Don't put it down as in, dismiss it. It will have value. If you carry on, if it's what you enjoy and what you love, do that. Do it a bit more. Do it a bit more. And you go into answering the second question, how do you motivate yourself to do better? You don't have to. If you're doing what you really love, you'll automatically get better at it. You'll automatically practice it because it's what you love doing. You'll automatically improve it because you want to learn how to do more and better and bigger and brighter and bolder and larger and faster and whatever else. You will improve by virtue of the fact that you're doing what you love doing. So don't worry about where it's going to lead. Because if you think, they say, find what you love doing and then find a way to make money doing it. Yes, but also trust that if you're doing what you love doing and you do it well, somebody somewhere will pay you for doing that or give you money for doing that. Now there may be 101 people, 1,001 people who do crosswords or do, massages, stitching, cross-stitch, make dog toys. But you'll do it in a way that no one else does. And that's your selling point. Now I struggled with a lot of this because I had a lot of things I was interested in, and I found it very difficult to consolidate me. So I'm an environmental consultant who does acoustics. I specialised in asbestos. I was a martial artist, and now a Chinese doctor. And I couldn't work out where all these fitted together. And eventually I just sat there and realised that the selling point was me. And this came down to my coach saying, well, what do I do? What do I do? He asked me, what do I do all the time? And I've been honest, I just said I talk. I talk to people. So that is me. That is what I do. Now, taking a step back to the question of, you can never predict where these things lead. So I've been a martial artist since I was 8 years old. And whether it stemmed from being bullied at school or just wanting to be more self-sufficient, I honestly can't remember. Those were all factors to it. But I was a martial artist since I was 8. And I wanted to do martial arts. I wanted to teach martial arts for a very, very long time. So I watched this video, Trombone Player Wanted. And the questions were, what do you think about doing all the time? Martial arts. What do you enjoy doing for hours on end and would carry on doing if you had the chance? Martial arts. What do you think about? What do you watch videos about? And so on and so forth. Martial arts, martial arts. And it had the last question of, what can you decide from this? Now, it was meant to be about team building and making your team and building your team so the best people in your team are doing the best thing that they enjoy. My response was, I'm in the wrong job. And that was kind of the start of my downward trend in consultancy and my upward trend into something more, something else. Because if I was sitting there at that point knowing that I wanted to do more, then I knew I wasn't right for consultancy. So I looked around for martial arts schools. I found an amazing school, Yanagi Ryu, which is the school I still attend and I still train with, and I will always train with them. Yes, it's a 4-hour round trip from my house, but in the 30 years that I've trained, I've never found anywhere better. And I will try other places, and I have tried plenty of other places, but I still go back to this. I still go back to Yanagi Ryu. So I trained with Yanagi Ryu, and I learned about the philosophy of it. I learned about pressure points and acupoints and how to distort the body. Now, I never did martial arts to be destructive. I enjoyed it because someone comes barreling at you, and with the minimal amount of effort, max amount of efficiency, you can make them fly across the room and hit the floor, and you stay standing and they're not. And it was the efficiency of motion that I loved. So training with Yanagi, I learnt that to a whole new level, and even my own efficiency, my power, my movement, my speed, all went through the roof compared to what I used to. My observation, my reaction times, all of them massively increased. And then I found out that there was a sister school which was the healing arts, and all of these skills that I could do for manipulating and destroying my opponent, you could use to heal. So I went from martial arts to massage, from massage to cupping to gua sha, to all the other things I've done, acupuncture, energy therapy. When my acoustics from my work tied into my healing, I suddenly started doing acoustic healing. And all along, I enjoyed talking to people, food therapy, dietary health, physical health, all stemmed from training with the martial arts, doing what I loved, at a school that I loved. And it's blossomed and bloomed and spread. So in short, if you want to whittle it all down, if I hadn't started martial arts and judo at the age of 8, I may not be sitting here talking to you now, because it was the martial arts that I followed, and the path took me here, to where I am. And I'm not world famous, I'm not massively successful, but I'm good at what I do, I think, and I'm having fun. And this will go on to something else. I want to do seminars, I want to do teaching courses, I will move on to doing this in person. You got to start somewhere. So start with what you love. And just do that. And then you will motivate yourself to do bigger and better and more. Now, yes, we'll briefly for the last couple of minutes go on to why don't we? And these are ones that everyone will come across. Age, set in your ways, money, don't know how to, or someone else doesn't want to. Now, you'd argue that you don't want to. You do, because otherwise you wouldn't be having this conversation with yourself. Someone else doesn't want you to. Someone else is applying pressure. You've got a family. You have someone who doesn't like what you do. All of those are passable. So say you want to be a drummer. You don't have to buy a big drum kit, and your family doesn't want you to buy a drum kit because it's going to be loud and it's going to make a lot of noise and wake up the kid and so on and so forth, and you haven't got the space. 2 sticks and a piece of wood, pots and pans. Hey, your kids will do better than you. Just to be a drummer, you need rhythm and pattern and practice. You can do that anywhere, anyhow, anytime. Drawing, sketching, painting, doodling, martial arts, movement, pottery, music, whatever it is. Just find a way to do it and push through the resistances. Find ways to bypass them, fight against them, or find another way. There's always a way around. And do what you love to do. And doing what you love to do will be being who you want to be, and then being who you love, which is you, and the truer you, and the happier you, and the more free you. The other question to ask is if people are putting resistance and blocks in your life against you being happy, do they really care about you? They may be worried about you, they maybe want you the best for you, but actually, if they're stopping you, then do they really have your best interest at heart? So go play, go have fun, and you can find your way by doing what you love. Even the little things, even just the crosswords. Okay. I've been Andy Morgan from Total Therapy Birmingham. If you like, hit like. If you want to subscribe, hit subscribe, and I will see you all very soon.